I'm sorry. I only play for sport.
That's true, Lara, but can you do it without running? The labyrinthine levels, the devious traps, the blokes with bats. Is it possible to get through all 18 levels with such a restriction on our basic movement? We'll try to collect as many secrets as possible. No running. Glitches are allowed, but specifically the walking, running, jump glitch is not allowed, as you still see the running animation. Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's hop into a helicopter and drop into the tiger den that is the Great Wall. It's a fairly calm opening, just a couple of pussycats roaming around below. Hop, skip and jump our way across, hop up and dip for the first secret. This jump looks initially impossible as we can't grab it, but if you shuffle over to the left hand side, there is enough space to grab and pull up. Drop into the guardhouse and we're stuck. That's it, we need to pull this lever to open the door to progress. And this jump is 3 blocks away, and a standing jump only reaches 2. The journey's done, little more than 5 minutes after it started, or at least on this version of the game. You see, the new remastered version of the game is mostly based on the UK box version of the game, and as you can see, there are a few different versions. All of these versions have slight differences, but importantly, some of them are more broken than others. Only the PlayStation has the path forwards that we need, but not any PlayStation version. Specifically, the European PAL version has one single exploit that gives this run life. The game has some very well-known bugs. This game hates Lara being inside walls and will do anything it can to reject that reality and substitute its own. And this is the result when you force her into a wall. It sends you as high as it can to the next available place. But why am I telling you this now? Because the European PlayStation version has an extra variation that you can do underwater. If you get a flare near to the wall, turn around and try to pick it up, Lara will sink into the wall, the game gets grumpy and then sends her all the way up to the ledge. I said all the way up to the ledge. This could take some time. Well, half an hour later, Live Rando manages this. Yeah, that's the... Ah! I don't know what I did, but it worked. Yeah. Oh no! Yep, you saw that. I also immediately ran, so... Now after the first sultry swan dive, frog hopping away from the large cat, we can head into the guardhouse, perform our extermination duties, stop the dart trap from getting 180 points on our backside by shimmying across. And here's our next big challenge. You see, in a contest between a rock and a lava place, rock always wins. And when we can't run away from them, we are in fact in a spot of bother. Stand jumping away just isn't fast enough. And before that, there are these crumbling tiles that drop us to a pointed pit of perishment. Not ideal. However, the big murderous items in this game, such as spikes, glass, boulders, smaller boulders, ice boulders, falling rocks, snapper doors and spiked walls, actually have pretty accurate hitboxes, so we can just about fit between them like this. Or at least that's what someone in chat said, and they knew it was possible because their dad worked at Nintendo. But surprisingly, the hero known as Zero was correct, and our quest can continue onwards. So this is a simple case of slide down the ramp, jump the spikes, leap across, get up here, and then get impaled by pointy objects, but the ammo was worth it, so on to this next section. It's one that's unnerving when you can run, blades chopping at your ankles, crumbling floors into Vlad the Impaler's private dungeon, spiked wall traps followed by a slide into yet another room with a spiked wall trap. So, after a few failed attempts, some ruined by accidentally running and some by the loss of my Achilles, and in the centre of this gauntlet, there is a secret, and it's something that I only found out after completing the run live, but it is possible, and here's how I did it. But there is another secret to obtain, and after working our way down the crevice, there he is, a majestic creature from a bygone era. Look at him, majestic isn't he? All the pomp and majesty of the terrible king he is, prancing through his thin domain, majestically. The bones of his previous meals left out for servants to clear away from his majestic aura, while he asserts dominance majestically over all foolhardy enough to enter his majestic regal chambers. So let's make like a cheese toasty and shoot him repeatedly from this small hole until he falls down, letting us get to the gold dragon secret. And as we turn around, there he is. The bipedal brute of nobility strolls in, stretching his noble legs to mourn over the loss of a loved one. Nobleness emanates from all 17 of his polygons as he stalks his prey. Like the apex predator he is, nobly striding towards his target. With the noble goal of vengeance in his mind, he gets lit up like a Christmas tree by a small British lady hiding in a hole. Nobly. Pop back up, take the Bartoli installed zipline and meet the meathead with a Tommy gun on his keychain.
Pardon me, if that was just your way of trying the doors for me.
With a Tommy gun on my keyring.
We need to take a trip to Venice. Apparently,
Marco Bartoli
has a bunch of fellas looking for the same thing we are, the dagger of Gian. So a hop, skip and a jump across a continent to the Queen of the Adriatic. Put the dog down, blow the back out of Bernard of the Battersea Batter Brigade bandits and bombard the balcony bro with ballistics. But after that, we need to get to this lever, as it opens this door to access the rest of the level. And again, the jump to all of the canopies requires a running jump, so that avenue is out. But just to the side of it is this bit of level geometry, and above that corner is a roof. The corner bug is a glitch that we'll use extensively throughout the game. It works similarly to the flare bug we did earlier, but it's generally much easier to do. Approach a corner, preferably with a foot poking slightly out, turn 45 degrees and hold jump, and the insides of the walls reject Lara and it plonks us on top of the building. Now it's a case of pressing roll to fall down onto the platform, pull the lever, grab the boat, collecting 2 secrets on the way through, and move to the lock. Nobble the silent gunman, pull the lever, open the gate and ride on out of there. And from here, the rest of the level is quite easily played as developer intended. Although there is an interesting goof. Normally when you press this final switch, it goes and opens the door at the end of the level, and it's a timed race to get there in the boat. But instead of going over that ramp, if you swim under the door, the game never starts the timer, so you can just swim through to the next level. However, we won't be doing that, and after picking up the final secret to give us some fabulous shotgun ammo, it's time to race against the clock. The
Marco Bartoli
hideout awaits. This isn't going to mess around. But what else would you expect from the red-eyed son of a magician whose secret lair has his cult's logo on the front door? Stroll up and bop Bobby of the Bingo Batter Boys. Haul open the main door. Bazza, brother of Bradley, bounds towards us with bat in hand. Blast him away with bullets and bounce on through to the hideout proper. Now we can evade the choppers. Pull the lever, jump up and get outside. Then, standing out on the balcony, jump to the canopy, shimmy across, pull up, backflip, and the pallet sticking out of the wall is too far away for us to reach. So again, reaching into our bag of tricks, we can use the same flare bug that we used in the Great Wall to get up there. And as we've had some practice, it should be easier, right?
No.
Well, it's harder for a couple of reasons. You see, at the bottom of the wall is a slope, and flares love sliding down slopes. So we can either launch a flare at the wall, flip and pick it up as it's falling, or spend a large amount of time finagling them into the proper position. And that's aside from the fact that it feels even more precise than the Great Wall one. But it's still not going to take too much time, is it? After that short diversion, we can push through, take out the Doberman trundling towards us, pull this incredibly well hidden lever, and nab the first secret. From here we can progress through the level as intended, take out all of the masked bandits and bombard the big branch boys with bullets, push the large piece of concrete, and head over the chopper trap into the realm of timed fire puzzles. It's actually quite easy. Stand here and perform Lara's special ability, consecutive normal jumps. Shoot everyone in the ballroom. Now we can drop down, grab the next gold secret, head back up into the chandelier room, easily hop up all of them, grab the lever and Bob's your uncle, we can progress. Except we can't. You see, we can't jump from chandelier to chandelier, as that needs a running jump. And there just isn't a way around it. However, in the room with the very well hidden lever, it looks out into the next main area we need to go to. And there's an exploit we can use to get through the fence. So let's reload a save from then and... this is the downside of the PlayStation version. Unlike the PC version of the game that allows you to have as many save slots as you need, the PlayStation version, you get a single save slot, and we saved after jumping over the chopping blades. This means that we're soft locked and have to restart the level, which also means... Oh. Well, that was far less dramatic and full of pain than I was expecting. Well, onwards to the railing. If you stand at the seam where you can see a little bit of a gap between each railing, you can in fact squeeze through by doing a roll like this. Grab the detonator key thingy. From here we can push through the level normally, open some doors, climb a bookcase and nip around to grab this jade secret. If you use the detonator it becomes unobtainable as it gets blown to smithereens. But there is an extra secret of sorts. Some hidden oozes, and they do call to me. But the normal way to get there is of course with a running jump across to the boathouse. However, there is a big opening directly underneath a body of water. And if I've learnt anything, this means it's time to get up there with a touch of flair. We're getting quite good at this flare trick now. I'm sure that next time will be just as easy to get up there, won't it?
No.
Set the back of a terrace to blow and head through to the opera house. This is the secret lair within yet another secret lair, and we're immediately greeted by a swinging box with the insignia of the secret dragon cult's corporate logo. Very espionage. Starting off, everything is fairly normal. Aside from our peculiar mode of traversing the level, everything is pretty much as intended. We can hop across the gap, take pot shots at the poor bloke below, head up the ladder, pull the switch, then jump across to the swinging crate platform, but it's unfortunately too far away to reach. Fortunately, however, we can corner bug up from the same platform our Italian friend is currently sleeping on, letting us carefully move and position ourselves to the jump into the roof space. And yes, we can just about make the jump. Bosh Bart the baton brandishing braggart about, nab the key and work our way back up to where we were via the corner bug again. Here follow the path through to the opera house proper, but we do run into an issue crossing over this rickety wooden area. After landing we need to immediately jump, otherwise we will... Not the best scenario. However, the issue we have is the path we need to take. We can stand jump from the entrance onto the wooden platforms because they're slightly below it, but once we get to the other side, Lara won't be able to jump and grab it, meaning we need to plan a route carefully. We need to aim for this drop down wooden area, but too far to the right, we hit the slope, fall off and... Too far to the left, we miss the platform entirely and... Not only that, but we need to take a curvy path on the left hand side to be able to line up and get the final leap that we need. landing and jumping like this. After this, we can push through and drop down into the Opera House. We can manoeuvre through the vast majority of it fine. Navigating from floor to floor isn't an issue. So heading down the elevator, we can drop by the costume room, follow the developer intended path, pick up the door key and a lovely jade statue. However, we run into some big problems. Firstly, once you head up onto the stage area, we can't get to the handhold to shimmy up and flick the switch. This would normally allow us to access this switch, which in turn opens a trapdoor under the stage, which would let us get an elevator part and a secret. Meaning in turn we can't get the circuit board, do all of the shenanigans with the back curtain, and this leaves us stuck. Big chunks of the level are now off limits. We have no way to progress. Well, in the level designer's efforts, they potentially overlooked a shortcut. One that means we don't need access to any of the parts of the level that are now off limits to us. You see, Lara can slightly curve her jumps in the air, and with that in mind you can jump from this top level around the corner into one of the private top boxes. Well, eventually after a few tries you can. And from here, it's just a case of heading into the last room, taking out all of the cultists, including a double magnum wielding maniac, make your way across the swinging box platforms and to the next levels. We squeaked that one out, a couple of places that looked hopeless, but that's another level boxed off. After getting biffed by Brandon and the Beach Boy bonkers, we awake in a cell. Gunless and with a thick head, it's time to shove some boxes around and plan our escape. This next switch is timed, and because of that, it is based on the idea that we will in fact run out of here, and as how we jump is generally slower, any timed switches are likely to be a pain. But if we completely clear out everything in the way, you can get out like this. Now before any of Bartoli's boys can batter us into oblivion, head into the water, open the switch and swim through. Pull the secret lever, nab it, and head up onto the walkway. This lets us get access to this switch, and from here we can swim underneath the plane, push the button to turn the propellers off, and from here it's fairly easy to just jump over to the wing so we can go and get our guns. Oh, that doesn't work at all. Well, I do remember that you can very easily do a running jump from the top of the walkway over onto the nose of the seaplane, so maybe that will work. No, 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 no. So what can we do? How can we get up there at all? It all looks impossible, and like our first running jump will in fact be here. But before we find out about that, I need you to find out about the sponsor of today's video. The Bartoli Flare Company have been very interested in sponsoring this video. Their latest and greatest invention, the multi-pack red flare Reality Shift edition, has just come onto the market. They let you do anything you need. Need to see in the dark? Bartoli flares. Need to travel upwards at great speed? Bartoli flares. Need to cure blindness? Bartoli flares. Need to see your child from 20 leagues away? Bartoli flares. Need to create bubbles for breathing underwater that may or may not leave you with permanent lung damage? Bartoli flares. Need to abuse gravity and object mechanics on a 25-year-old video game to let you sneak into a seaplane that has inextricably been left ticking over in a large hangar that may potentially kill everyone there through engine fumes? Bartoli flares. This gives me an idea. And by me, what I really mean is the Tomb Raider speedrunners who unearthed a bit of tech from the annals of time. Quiet Bat Person came up with the goods, proof that it's possible. All that's left to do is replicate it. Now we've done these flare in bed glitches before, so it should be fine. Live Rando was in fact a happy chappy. Oh! Ah! Oh my god! Finally! But now it's time to press on. The rest of the level awaits us. Get the guns, blast the bunch of braggarts that bob by the bay windows. Now head forwards, loop around to the right to pick up some new weapons. The automatic pistols and the harpoon is just left there lying for us. We have yet another timed switch. Fortunately, there is plenty of time to jump across to the bunk and get up there. Just remember to go down this slope backwards. And now we're in a spot of bother with a puzzle involving crates and fire. To avoid all damage, all we need to do is a running jump. Fortunately, however, the fire hitbox is smaller than it looks. If you just go to the side of it, you will take damage, but you won't set on fire, which now lets us nip up for some fresh air and a secret. As well as the red keycard, which is in Baxter the Best Bataneer in Brighton's broken body after we batter him with a barrage of bullets. This lets us loop around to the dual pool section. Now, in order to get the last secret in the level, which would be really quite nice, as it gives us the uses and a boatload of ammo, we need to get up to this entrance here. Now by pushing the block into position, we can nicely move around the other side, jump across, and not make it. It's just too far. So by looking into our bag of tricks, we've come up blank. But after doing some research and looking at the task run performed by Troy, we can see that he uses a flare trick here in the pool to get up to the other side. Now we don't need to get up there, but I wonder if it would work on our wall. So by putting a flare near to the wall, backing up to it, turning around and rolling, we can get there. And it only took an hour and a half. Pull the switch in the control room, swim across, yank the switch and then head down to do the flare trick again, as the opening in the floor of the control room has opened. This lets us get to a large watery area. We get in and now we are stuck. We can't move, we can make no jumps. If we fall off, we can climb up here, but again, can't make the next jump. It's a grave of water and metal with nowhere to run. And this is where I make the biggest mistake of the run. I reload the save to see that there's water next to me. Now here, I think it's impossible. I think I've soft locked, so I need to redo the whole level, which is exactly what I do. I spend the next 2 hours and 22 minutes going back through the level to return to what I thought was a completable position. This is so I can jump into the first pool, up the side of it, then swim across to the next pool opening, pull this lever and complete the level. However, I didn't need to do any of that. I could have just as easily climbed into the pool and done a in the second pool. This then lets you jump into the water. That doesn't make much sense physics wise, but we can complete the level. But no, I took the nuclear option for no good reason. Regardless, we are here at the diving area. Currently, we're a little light on armament. We only have access to the standard pistols, the automatic pistols and the harpoon, so trying to expand the arsenal is a priority. However, we have a more pressing issue. You see, right at the beginning of the level, there is this jump. And there's a huge fan of Lara's if you're not careful. But if you jump to the ladder and climb up, there's a switch that turns it off. However, that ladder needs a running jump to reach. So are we done? Is that it? It turns out the water currents in this game are rather glitchy. And if you manage to get somewhere with a switch in it, the current doesn't act at all. You can also swim against it and that could get you out of its reach, letting us pull this underwater lever and then climb up on the side eventually. Now we have a rendezvous with a bunch of gun-toting goons and their canine companions. Pick up the complimentary uses that have been left for us. All that's left to do now is to cross the room and avoid the overhead cranes. It's nice and easy to jump to the first, but the second? Well, we need another way around this. Bottle leaflets doesn't seem to be cutting it, so we'll add another tool to our arsenal of exploits. The swimming corner bug. Very similar to the versions that we've done previously, but this one works underwater. So line up and try to time it in a way that doesn't let us get murdered by the crane and lets us across. One of the reasons that I don't want to be using the bottle leaflets trick everywhere is that Flares are a consumable. They aren't infinite, and keeping hold of them for when I need them in the run could be very useful indeed. Now pushing on, we can drop down to nab the first secret, and reach this jump. This jump is one of the most infamous jumps in Tomb Raider. You see, it's 2 blocks away, but people will jump from a little further away. That's fine. All you need to do is press the grab button and you'll be fine, right? Nope. For whatever reason, you can't catch this ledge at all. Well, actually the ledge is grabbable, but the in-air grab animation shortens your jump in such a way that it makes it impossible to grab, letting Lara dissolve away into nothing. And after this we get the very long ladder.
What a thrill with darkness and...
No, stop, wrong game. I already played that one. Now we drop into the large, rounded storage area thing. Take out the denizen of the bridge. Initially I thought this jump was impossible, but it just takes a lot of health. Grab the blue key and then work your way around up to the long ladder.
What a thrill.
No, the joke is too obvious and overdone. Stop it! Slap the blue key card in the appropriate receptacle, which will lock us into the second half of the level. Be careful of the Human Torch cosplayer, keep your distance and keep the trigger held down. And from here the vast majority of the level plays out normally, albeit while slowly hopping around like a kangaroo that's British, with guns, and hot pants. That is, up until this timed section. On the way across the helipad we also pick up the shotgun. Our arsenal is starting to expand again. Now we want the extra pseudo-secret that's hidden beneath, the M16. A very useful weapon. Although you can't shoot it while jumping, it actually has the longest range out of any weapon in the game. But to get there we need to flip the switch and run across the now turned off fire to get access to the weapon in the undercarriage and the circuit board in the back. And with our movement options, it's just not fast enough. However, we can brute force our way through. If you jump over the inferno from the side, you'll take damage, but you won't catch fire. Perfect. After spending a couple of medipacks, we have all the equipment we need, and now can loop back through the rest of the level picking up the Jade secret here, and the gold secret right at the end of the level, gifting us a truckload of Uzi ammo. After a natter with the monk, we follow the diving submarine and are left in a rather precarious position. 40 fathoms down in the drink, with some bitey companions to boot. I'm sure many were initially stumped by the watery conundrum. However, look at the ocean floor and follow the strewn debris for a guide to the wreckage. Once inside, we can drain the water, nab the secret, and press on. Initially, I tried to use a trick to get up to the next room that I'd seen elsewhere, but I couldn't get it to work and instead worked on Lara's chicken impression. But with some guidance from iCore, we managed to get the clip up to the next area, which gives us a gauntlet of timed door challenges. Brilliant. But most pressing for now is the timed door to the Jade Dragon. This sneaky switch, followed by some rather precise jumping over rails, leads to this. It's precise and took a few tries, but the Jade Dragon is ours, assuming you avoid the Great White. Now let's try again and duke the shark around the arena. Now trying to move through, there's another set of 2 timed switches, and we're just too slow to follow the correct path. We will succumb to the flames. However, we can pause time at any point to use a medipack, and directly behind the door we need to get to, there is water, which does put the fire out. She'll be mildly toasted and a few supplies lighter, but it's the only way we can get through. After a short dip in the pool to nab the final secret, which gives us some mostly useless harpoons, it's now a case of dump the debris, flood the bottom chamber, murk the diver, and head through to the wreck of the Maria Doria. One of the largest levels in the whole game. The main objective here is to run around, find some circuit breakers to put in by the engines to turn off the flames, so we can push a box into position to get to the last quarter of the level. The circuit breakers are in the restaurant, this atrium area, and the grand ballroom, but unfortunately this one is unobtainable, as the block is 3 jumps across and there looks to be no way to get up there with any of the tricks I know of. And really the first half of the level is all about grabbing the circuit breakers. We managed to swipe the silver dragon here in the swimming pool, and the jade secret from behind this rolling barrel. Now going back to the engine room, we're short some circuit breakers. No matter. Put what we have in these 2 locations. Yes, Lara will turn into a seared steak, but nothing that repeated medipacks can't fix. Unless you're like me, cut it a bit fine and go up in smoke as you hit the water. Let's try again. Only another 6 attempts and we plug in both circuit breakers. This lets us move the crate, and when we push it into the fire, it's fine. We don't take any damage whatsoever. Result. Now hop up on top, take out Bradders, the blunt force brute in the room, and pull this lever. This lets us cross the drums and head down to the bridge. Except, this gap is too far. We need to do a running jump and catch to get from one drum to the next. We can't use any corner bugs or flare tricks to get up to where we need, because this bit of wall that sticks out, we can only clip up to a ledge if there's no overhang. And we can't get up onto any of the drums directly either, because of the same issue. So I'm afraid this is where the letter of the law fails us. We have to run and jump here. And here. So, 2 counts added, it's a shame. But, let's see how far we can get with this setback. If anyone has any ideas on how to avoid this, please let me know in the comments below. However, past this we can swan dive down and get to the bridge. The rest is mostly self-explanatory, aside from a single timed switch. We need to pull open this switch here, then make our way to the other side of the bridge without getting stuck on any of the strewn geometry or debris. To then pull this switch and nip out for a spot of free diving. Let's try again, but this time without Lara becoming a tasty snack. Make our way through, nab the last secret, which grants us the grenade launcher, and dart for the cabin key. Enter the cabin, pull the switch, push a box, pull another switch, and head for the next fancy room. Take out the chaps on the lower level with the help of the M16, dive in, avoid the moray eels, and head to the living quarters. Halfway through the levels, progress is being made. Now, still hanging out with the fishes, we have an oxygen problem. So let's try not to get stuck in the current and head for the switch. Bane, the Batmeister of Butcher's Bay, is approaching, so resolve issue with pistol fire. And now into the engine room proper. This level has 2 main puzzles. First, we want to be able to move these piston heads to let us cross this room, and secondly, this room with the fire and the underwater switch up on the wall needs to be flooded. Initially in the room with the flames, the intended path is to run and jump across here to the shimmy space, but this isn't really going to be in our remit. So instead, climb up carefully onto the burner, right in the corner, tank the heat damage, but you won't catch fire, jump up and shimmy across. Pull the lever to turn them off and head upstairs. This lets you pull a second lever that shunts the pistons around. Now we can happily cross the first puzzle room. Also, on the right is the first secret, but unfortunately it needs a running jump to reach, so no bonus ammo for us this level. This lets us loop around to access the opposite side of the pistons from the ground floor, once we do some box jiggery pokery. We need to pull this lever in the piston room, but after moving them back, it's too far to reach with a standing jump. But again, the man, the myth, the legend, Icor comes in clutch with a setup that lets us use a modified corner bug to get up there. Pull the second switch and head for the now flooded fire room. Pull the lever to open the door and we're accosted by an aquatic assailant. So pull out the harpoon gun and send a cold hard rod his way. Head through, pull the next lever and try not to get munched. Next, we're in the gearbox, maybe? In the adjacent room there's this time switch puzzle, which not only are we not fast enough for, we also need to run and jump to the shimmying platforms. So instead, let's abuse this poor little corner and get shot up to pull the switch. This opens a trapdoor that lets us hop up onto here, but we aren't able to do a standing jump and grab to the opposite side. Now we need to get up to this higher level, then pull this box, shimmy across, jump up here, climb over, and then head through to the next room. And we can't corner bug or flare clip onto the next room as there's a platform in the way. We don't need a fantastic new bug, nor an exploit to get what we want. What we need is good old-fashioned developer oversight. It appears the level designer didn't realise we can quite happily jump up here, like this, to bypass that previous malarkey entirely. This next jump is tricky. Although it looks simple because it's 2 blocks away and that's within our jump range, Lara can't make it because she bonks her head on the ceiling. Fortunately, the destination is dropped slightly, so by jumping across from further down this ramp and curving the jump, we can make it. Just. It's very precise and took quite a few tries. We're into the actual living quarters. Push through the distinctly skewy floors and use this slope to grab the ledge. Push through all of the fancy decor in this now right side up half of the ship, and move through to the theatre to release some water, and finally, let us out onto the deck. This is a tricky one. Half of the Maria Doria is stuck in this underground cave, blokes with battens galore and fire aficionados inbound. That with a labyrinth setup that twists and turns repeatedly and loops back on yourself. It's a tricky one. We can even explore most of the ship, go up, get some secrets, collect some keys, but we will run into an issue. It is impossible for us to head through this section here after jumping from the orange roof, meaning that the Jade secret is out of reach. But both ends of this tunnel is inaccessible as they both require a running jump. And getting onto that roof is vital, as it acts as a trigger to unlock some of the doors we'd need access to. However, instead of going through all that rigmarole, we can trudge through, nab the secret in the deep underground pool, and work our way back up through a bunch of goons gunning for our solar wetsuit. Other brands are available. And head to this corner, and yep, you guessed it, bug up. Followed by some shenanigans with a we have the storage room key, and well, that's all we need to complete the level. So head back down the Maria Doria, open up the storage room and grab the Seraph. It's now time to go to Tibet. The Tibetan foothills. Lara veers inbound with a swanky bomber jacket after crash landing in the powder. But it's a hop, skip and a jump over some tumbling rocks. Let's try again. We come up against this crevasse, and there is a path all the way around on the bottom level. We need to reach this platform with the large medipack on. However, we'd need to do a running jump onto here, and then again over onto the platform. But we should be able to do a swimming corner bug instead. I mean, it should work, eventually. And after an hour of shouting at Lara to get in the wall... Get in the wall! Come on, be one with the wall. Get in the corner! You're not embedding yourself into the wall, lady. Lara! We're going to have arguments when you come home if you carry on like this. Lara, come on. Into the wall you go, into the wall you go. Get more in the wall. Come on, reject me. Up to the top of the wall, please. Get up there, Lara! Go on. Go on! No! I believe in your ability to scale high walls. Oh, that felt so good and so close, but no! Okay. It's time to take a bit of a break. But on my walk back to the crevice, I noticed something so obvious, so blatant, that I'm slightly embarrassed I didn't notice it sooner. I've been spending all of this time trying to do the swimming corner bug, and I didn't realise that I can just jump onto the platform from the raised walkway. Then it's a simple climb up to the other side, and there it is. Not as many of you would think, a snowmobile. Oh no, this is a skidoo. And as soon as we get on, the bop begins.
Hi there.
Now it's time to go on a rampage as everyone and everything perished with a mere touch of the thunderous skidoo. In the skidoo park area, we can avoid needing to move the block by jumping precisely into the side. Head around afterwards to the side, climb the ladder, pull the switch and carry on. There's a bunch of... and we exploded. Let's try again. Before taking the big jump, nip across and nab the jade secret, grab the grenades below, and unfortunately that releases some snow leopards. Make the WWF rather grumpy and get back on the skidoo. No animals were harmed in the making of this video. Take the big jump and avoid the next rolling boulder bother. Then drop down and nip into the opening, grab the drawbridge key, and head to lower the drawbridge. It's now worth mentioning that the skidoo is rather susceptible to gravity, but that won't be a major issue going forwards. Now let's drop that drawbridge and reenact an action movie. And then die. Brilliant! Let's try again. Drive all around and nab the hut key, then deal with the skidoo piloting person who shows up to pepper us with pistol ammunition. Try not to pass over to the other side and deal with the problem with power weapons. Be wary of the way back to the mini nightclub and try not to go out with a bang. Head into the hut, ready some good weapons. A pair of assassins will show up equipped with Uzis. It's time to take the drastic approach. Head into the now opened area and dodge the skidoo driving dude. Dare to dodge the dreadnought to duck away from death. Fate decides it wasn't Lara's destiny. Time to commandeer that vessel and drive off. And explode, because black skidoos aren't as fast as the red one and can't boost their speed. Instead, shimmy across the large hole, then take the ladder. Avoid the boulders, nab the gold dragon, completing our trifecta of secrets, giving us a plethora of Uzi ammunition. Head through to the next outside area, and we're accosted by a pair of skidoo scallywags. Commandeer a snowplow, and live Sarando has it best.
What?
Drive carefully down the hill and plummet the skidoo into the freezing water. Now head to the entrance to the Barkang Monastery. This level has us running about all over the place to collect 5 separate prayer wheels to bring here. They're in various different places around. It's a tricky one, but hopefully we can pull through. Initially, after the opening firefight, we need to get inside the monastery proper. So by climbing up, jumping to a slope and doing a drop catch to the proper shimmy path, we can break a window and enter. The first prayer wheel requires us to avoid some devilishly placed boulders and head into this small swimming pool. Be careful, there is a current to drag you down and will drown you, so head around the outside and fall into this large pit. Avoid the demonic doors and push through to the dark room with a bit of a blokish surprise. Grab wheel 1 and jump in between the now lit flames to get back to safety. Next up we have a tricky one. Avoid the rolling blades, and after heading upstairs we have a timed fire puzzle. Again, fantastic. It's going to be tricky just because of that. Pull this switch and it turns off all the flames, then rush through as quickly as possible. We have around 20 seconds to make something happen. We can only get part way before parting with our mortal coil, and after a few attempts we just don't get any further. However, we can use the same trick that we'd used before. By hugging the wall and side jumping over it, we can take minimal damage and don't actually get set on fire. Perfect. Pull this lever, drop down, grab a couple of lovely gemstones sitting here waiting for us, and head back up. Plonk one in this awfully gem-shaped hole, and head into the now opened room. Drag a box out of the way and collect our spoils. Now we need to get up here to place the second gemstone we acquired. And while we're this way, we might as well pick up the sneaky gold dragon in the statue's back. Now normally we need to jump all over the statue to make it up there, but, well, we are horizontally challenged when it comes to making that jump. So instead we can call on our old friends... First try. Legitimately. Listen to how happy past me was. Ah! First try! Damn, I'm good. I'm so good. Following the now open path, we can block off this water, drop down into the formerly filled pool and nab the next prayer wheel. Then run around, refill up the pool and get the secret that's hidden in there. This is the one that I was afraid of. A medley of things that spike, things that burn, things that tickle, and things that turn. What's worse is we need to be worried about time switches too. I'd advise saving here. You may be evicted from your meat container on quite a few occasions. Stand on the invisible pressure plate and time jumping into the hole beneath the two swinging glory orbs. There's another invisible pressure plate that the enormous spinning wheel of doom is unable to set off. Apparently it weighs less than an athletic aristocrat. Who knew? But the next pair of comedy nutcrackers are just as tricky as the first. Next it's a case of taking this darker path, where the security deathblade is roaming. Jump from crevice to crevice until you reach more chomping doors. The best bet is to walk right up to them and then roll through when they're open. Going ahead to nab the Jade Dragon, netting a bounty of M16 ammunition. Next nab the outside key and loop back to the main hall. Use the key and head out to the canyons. Head through and climb up this ladder to traverse the top of the canyon area to make your way to a guardhouse. Here, as is the case with many areas in this level, is filled with baddies brandishing brownings. So don't stroll in without any health to get one-tapped. This guardhouse doesn't have a way to let us up the conventional way, but we should be able to get up with a corner bug. And they're pretty easy to do, so... Turns out that although much of the rocks appear to the wall appear to be a sliding surface, they aren't, letting us just climb up and plunder Prayer Wheel 4. Nicely done. Head back to the monastery and run through this corridor. There is a window you can shoot out, but equip some firepower. Some chaps will try to make you Swiss cheese. Jump through, open the doors to let the monks do their thing, and climb a series of long ladders.
I'm searching and I'll melt into...
No, I'm not doing it. You can't make me. I'm not going to do it. Naughty! Grab the ancient artefact and slap them all in the prayer wheel hallway next to the statue. Use the seraph in the next room once it opens, and job done. Level complete. It's time for... The Catacombs of the Talion! This is a... well... this level is cruel and unusual. We can press really quite far through the level, only to be blasted away towards the end with an impossibility, the requirement to run. Eventually, after a lot of rigmarole, end up in this underground lake, with no way to continue. But this took so much time, it's ridiculous. So I'm going to catch you all up to speed with everything we didn't do. Got that? Good. Let's restart and do the level properly. Be a big game hunter and take out the Yetis. Head down to take out all of the big cats and fellas wandering around. Set off a boulder trap. Grab the MacGuffin and head down to the now drained swimming pool. Plonk said MacGuffin in the MacGuffin-shaped hole. Nip across and pull up here. Take out the Beastie Boys cover group and the extra large felines. Then it's time for the one, the only, the brilliant and amazing Bartoli Flares. Get up here, which is right at the end of the level. Nab the gold secret. Would be rude not to. Now, this puzzle is supposed to be solved like this. Now, as you can see, there isn't much time to spare at all, and it'd be very impossible to do without running. However, if you trigger the first door in front to open, then corner bug your way up, jump over it, you never hit the trigger for it to shut, giving us a more direct path. And by using this direct path, it's still seemingly impossible. I spent around 2 hours here trying to get through, but every combination I tried didn't work. But I was so close. It maybe felt possible, but maybe it isn't. Maybe that's it. Huh, the more you know. So, Apel, the legend himself, came in clutch with a strategy of standing up here and curve jumping forwards. This lets you force your way into the second door. If you fancy learning more about the speedrun tech of either the Tomb Raider games or the Metal Gear Solid games, give him a look and let him know I said hi. This lets us polish off this level for good. Now through to the Ice Palace. Ice Palace is a straight shot. It has nothing majorly complicated or difficult, except those things are a death trap. But regardless, shoot all the exposed bells, hop up using the bounce pads where needed, remove the yetis from the mythological index, head around to yank this switch to then let us climb higher. But it's tricky. We can't seem to walk or roll onto the bounce pad to get up. That just leads to being gravitationally challenged. So, back hop on instead. Shoot the bell and reverse park onto this next pad. Shoot the bell, then do the slide dance across. Now it's MacGuffin grabbing time. Again. And be wary of the incredibly dark holes, spikes, and abominable snowmen awaiting. Down there we can now cross over to the drawbridge that was overhead in the previous level. Pull the switch. Grab the gong hammer and swim through, taking out all of the ice fiends. And head slowly through to the avalanche room. Most of the time the rollout based on if you're running, so slowly walk and they'll safely pass by. However, the last through will need some acrobatics to avoid. Now we need to make our way up to the level's namesake proper and hit the gong. And work through the side of the building it's in. Grab the talion and shoot the... well, what is he? I know he's supposed to be a Garuda, but he looks more like Alcadan's older and less cool brother. Just use power weapons. He goes down fast, completing the level. In the void, no one can hear you scream. The darkness. It's where the strong come to die. It's where my will was broken. The Temple of Jeanne. An interesting place. One where the whole goal of the level is to get the dagger, miss it, and then go all the way around the hardest platforming gauntlet so far to get back to where we started. Initially we can take the big drop well. Let's try again. Actually make it all the way down to the depths of the temple, off into the river, and we wind up here at this small shrine. Hit the bounce pad and pull the lever. Now we can head up the newly opened trapdoor, going around the lava-filled pit room, and nab the secret whilst we're here. Now, head past these spikes without any problem by backflipping and immediately jumping onto the open ledge. The next jump is trickier. You want to jump onto the platform with the shotgun shells below. It's quite easy to misjudge. Then slide down into the depths, and the platform around the spikes to pull this lever. This lets us open up that previous temple we were at earlier. Head back past the choppers, push past the terracotta army and into this slide-fueled wonderland. It's tricky, but the way to get past everything is like this. Then we can head up here and that's it. That's as far as we can go using the normal path. Yep, we need a running jump here to get any further. So what do we do? Well, maybe there's another way. I remember an old trick you could use to skip most of the level. When you're on the initial slide, go down the waterfall backwards, then grab and shimmy across for this secret. Now, I know you can do a running jump over to the bridge on top. But can we do it with a standing jump? That would be a no. There has to be something. And there is, but it's not easy. It's a trick so peculiar and odd, there's a 15-minute video explaining how it works, and one so soul-destroying that you never know if you're doing it right or wrong. I present to you, Jan Skip. So, to do this, I had a full sheet of notes, 9 completely different steps, and hopefully after performing this whole thing, I'd finish the level. But not quite. The idea is as follows. You clip into this corner and get sent into the inky black void. Then slowly work your way along this wall until you reach the end, and press roll. This will then eject Lara to her highest available position, which turns out to be here, letting us stroll by and complete the level. We got close, we failed, and failed a lot. In fact, I was here for 4 hours and 15 minutes on this one single trick. I found out there was an alternative that felt more consistent on the PlayStation version. You see, the setup that I was trying to use relied on hearing Lara's stumble sounds. And on the PlayStation, the sound effects come from the perspective of the camera, whereas on the PC version, the sound effects can come from the perspective of Lara. This means that on the PlayStation version, you can't hear those stumble sounds, but on PC version, you can. And eventually, we made it. And I was relatively pleased with myself. Ah! Yes! Now it's just a case of slowly walking to the exit to finish the level. It's worth pointing out that the hilarious amount of distance travelled is me falling in the void. Next up, the floating islands. These ethereal islands of jade. It's a spooky atmosphere for sure, but we have bigger problems. Heading to this little corner of the first piece of floating jade and rolling off, we can just about make it without Lara's legs buckling. Now, grab the piece here. From here it's possible to work around to the caged area and pull the lever to let us up onto the next island. But after taking out the reanimated jade chaps, well, we can get a secret, but there's no further advancement. I searched high and low, but couldn't find anything on this stupid island's geometry to let me get across to anywhere. So, restart, we'll need to take some shortcuts. All we really need to do is get on top of this gated area. Now initially, I thought this jump here was impossible, and needed a running jump, because being over to the right enough to maybe be able to catch the ledge, the slope gets in the way, and too far to the left means... But there is a specific way. If you do a stand jump and late grab, the momentum seems to pop you off the slope and let you hit the other side directly. From there, climb up onto the bridge, head down, taking out both levitating Larrys, and head to the next floating island. Except... this one's straight up impossible. There's no geometry tricks to be had, there's no fancy glitches I could find, it's just a running jump gap. Brilliant. We've got this far, and this slaps me in the face and forces a running jump. There's just no way around it. There's nothing to interact with. Seriously? Here? Right at the end? So let's head across, use the corner bug to climb up over the gate, and well, now we're in a spot of bother. We can't try to progress normally over this zipline because of course it's a running jump gap, but we should be able to bypass it. Head into this little hole and pick up the secret. This will help us get in the correct position. We need to do what is known as a clamp glitch, and picking up the secret helps us line this up. The basic idea is that with a wall overhead and pushing into a corner, you can then jump into the corner and the game freaks out. It sends you off into a void, and that's exactly what we're going to do. It's similar to the Xian skip, but much easier. And after 10 or 15 minutes, we get through. It's 20 seconds of being in the void. We then pop out here, grab the gold secret, and head through to the dark cave to nip back up to exit the level. The Dragon's Lair. The final showdown. It's now time for the big guns the whole time. Run around the initial room pulling witches and shooting switches. Was that pulling switches and shooting witches? Regardless, these Jade Warriors stand no chance against the mighty M16 and Uzi combo. Push through to the room with the Microsoft default cursor salesmen who are throwing all of their wares at Lara. Still, they're stopped dead in their pushy stale tactic tracks by the small British lady. Next up, Bartoli's lifeless corpse is waiting there for the final showdown. And on the approach, he turns into a huge dragon. Now, he can't really jump around without getting turned into a flambe, so we laugh in his face and get the dragon-shaped numpty stuck in a wall. He can't hit us, and we can fill him with lead. The only difficult part in taking him out is getting to his belly fast enough to pull out the dagger. It's quite tricky to get to the correct spot without running. So after a few failed attempts, the Italian-Chinese dragon is reduced to liquid, and only bones are left to tell the tale. Now Lara just needs to walk out, victorious. I said, Lara just needs to head home, a champion. I said, Lara just needs to head back with victory in the air. Lara, just dodge that stupid bit of ceiling, please? She gets out. And that's the quest completed. All we need to do is return back to Blighty and admire our fine work. It seems Bartoli's men are throwing one last final hurrah. Lara's got the shotgun, she knows how to use it, and to make this a proper final showdown, we need to turn on some music. And that's it. We're done. Well, what did you think, Lara?
Don't you think you've seen enough?
And with that, we come to a close. Before we rate it on the tier list, I need to shout out some people who've helped with this video. Troy, a talented tasser whose PlayStation task runs are invaluable to finding some oddball strategies. Apel, the legend who got me out of a hole in the catacombs of Talion. Icor, the man with the speedrun strat tutorials. And Archangel, whose graphics card is far more powerful than mine and let me use it to render out some of the graphics you've seen in this video. But where does it place in our tier list? Right, I'm not going to lie, it was hard. Really quite tricky. It goes to the top. 50 hours, a lot of learning and some very difficult tricks puts this run into ultra-violence. No, this goes into nightmare. And with that, I need to thank the channel members who've been making this possible. King Emo Cut, Undercover, Aaron, Pictitmate, Casper, Videopop100. And a special thanks to my parents, who introduced me to the wonderful world of video games with this title. The summer-long evenings spent as a unit figuring out all the puzzles contained within this CD are memories that I'll hold forever. But most importantly, thanks to you. Good night.